The Eternal spoke to Moses, "Speak to Aaron and his sons and tell them that this is how they shall bless the people of Israel. Say to them, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Eternal bless you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the Eternal deal kindly and graciously with you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasim lecha shalom. May the Eternal bestow favor upon you and grant you peace. Thus they shall link my name with the people of Israel, and I will bless them." These are some of the most famous lines in the Torah, the priestly blessing, and they come from this week's Parsha, Naso. But my primary association with them is not from the Torah. When I hear these words, I don't think of Aaron the priest. When I hear these words, I am transported back to my childhood. I am standing on a chair in my grandparents' dining room with my grandfather, the Holocaust survivor, my Opie, whose yahrzeit falls this week. He has his hands on my head, my kepi, as he calls it. Every week of my childhood, he offered me this blessing as we welcomed Shabbat. He whispered each line sweetly to me in Hebrew and then in English in his faint German accent, with his kind smile and his mustache brushing against my cheek. I can feel the love emanating from him, pouring through his hands and into me. When I bless my daughters with these words on Shabbat, with my hands on their heads, I am passing along that love. I am a channel, a vessel for love flowing from one generation to the next. Even if some of my daughters are reluctant to actually let me put my hand on their head, I hope they feel that love anyway. A love my Opie received from his ancestors and passed on to me, and now I pass on to them. It's actually a strange passage in the Torah. God says to the priest, "This is how you should bless the people." Recite these specific words. But it raises a question for the rabbis. Is it not God's job to bestow blessing? Why does God need the priests as intermediaries? Rabbi Isaac Arama in the 15th century put it succinctly, "Surely it is God on high who blesses, and what is gained or added whether the priests bless or refrain from doing so?" Then, to make matters even more confusing, God ends the passage by saying, "Thus the priests shall link my name with the people of Israel, and I will bless them." So which is it? Are the priests blessing the people, or is God? Perhaps it is both. God is revealing something essential about the nature of God's blessing. God cannot bless without the priests because God needs us to bring divine blessing into the world. As Rabbi Stephen Carr Rubin explains, God blesses us through the agency, actions, and words of other human beings, in this case, the priests. This process is itself a recognition that we are partners with God in bringing blessings into the world, that God actually needs us to speak and to act to advance the connection between the community and the divine. We are portals, access points through which divine love can enter the world. Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan wrote that when we speak of God's attributes, we should mean not that God has those attributes, but that God is those attributes. By this, Kaplan means that we should not think of God as a being, some figure up in the sky that grants blessings like wishes. God is not a genie. Rather, God is the very idea of blessing. To bestow a blessing is to bestow God. And God is justice, so to make justice is to make God. And God is compassion, so to show compassion is to show God. And God is love, so to give love is to give God. If God is these attributes, then when we make them manifest in the world, we bring God into the world. Rabbi Carr Rubin explains that the priestly blessing is a lesson in bringing God into the world. Adonai bless you and protect you means that to experience security and protection is holy. Adonai deal kindly and graciously with you means kindness and grace are sacred attributes to be welcomed into our lives. Adonai bestow favor upon you and grant you peace attests to the experience of feeling complete and the peace that comes from granting others the same dignity we seek for ourselves. This, for Kaplan, is God not as being, but as process. God as something we make manifest, just like the priests with their hands held high, just like my grandfather with his hands on my head, bringing love into the world, bringing God into the world. A blessing is by its nature an act of love. The Talmud states that before the priests would recite this blessing over the people, they would first offer a blessing of their own. They would say, "Blessed are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who commanded us to bless God's people with love." This is the only blessing for a commandment that we say we must do with love. We are supposed to do all the commandments with a full heart, but only here is there an explicit instruction to love. The Zohar teaches that a priest who does not love the people, or a priest who is not loved by the people, may not bless. As Rabbi Jonathan Sachs explains, we can only bless what we love. In blessings, we are conduits for divine love. Now, as I studied all of this week, I kept thinking of the obvious connection. So obvious, in fact, that you're probably way ahead of me. Say it with me, that's right, baseball. Okay, so maybe not so obvious, but stay with me for a minute. I promise you it's not as far out of left field as you might think. Baseball is a very strange sport. In baseball, the ball can be out of play and still fair game. In baseball, the team on defense is in possession of the ball. But perhaps most interestingly, baseball is a team sport played individually. It takes 9 players to field a baseball team, and yet they spend the game basically locked in one-on-one matchups. The batter and the pitcher go head-to-head. If the ball is hit, the fielder's now in a one-on-one matchup with the ball. Then the runner faces off with the fielder, trying to get him out. Is there any other sport like it? Sure, there are occasional moments of cooperation. The double play comes to mind. But none of the elaborate teamwork that we find in football or basketball or soccer. In baseball, it's just you and maybe another person and a bat and a ball and a glove. And yet, as World Series champion Curt Schilling once said, baseball is not a game you can achieve individually. While someone can play one-on-one basketball, you can't play one-on-one baseball. It just wouldn't work. You need infielders and outfielders, pitchers and catchers to make the game. Baseball with 2 people is just catch. Baseball with 1 person's just juggling. I think sometimes about a scene from the 1990s Superman show, Lois and Clark. One of the episodes opened with Clark Kent alone on a baseball field using his super speed. He is able to play all the positions, pitching, then batting, running, then fielding. But this scene works precisely because only a superpowered being can play baseball all alone. The rest of us need a team. I suppose that God, like Superman, could play all alone. But where's the fun in that? So that's not how God set up the game. And this is the way God created the world. God can't make blessings alone. God needs us to field the team. And sure, there are moments when we feel alone, where we might want to believe that we act individually, but in truth, we cannot achieve much by ourselves, and what we can create together is greater. Mordechai Kaplan's process theology gives us a response to darkness in the world. We can look at a world of injustice, of incivility, of inhumanity, and wonder, where is God? But that is to assume that God is a being that can be some places and not others. Instead, we might know the truth that it's on us to bring God to such a place by bringing justice and kindness and humanity to that place. Because when we do, we make that place holy. God put us on this team to remind us that we cannot do it alone. And in this way, God is not the manager of the team. God's another player, a reliable teammate. God can't make the great plays without us. Rabbi Kaplan's process theology encourages us to be the godliness we wish to see in the world. When we want to feel God's presence, We make God present by making justice, by bringing peace, by giving love. This is what my grandfather was doing for me as I stood on that chair in his dining room with his hands on my head, not just loving on me or passing on blessings from his ancestors, but making God real by making love real. Even all these years later, I can still feel my grandfather's hands on my kepi. And through those hands, I feel the tangible presence of God. And when I lay my hands on my daughters' heads, I hope they feel that too, that love, that divinity. There are times when the world feels unbearably broken. And it's a comfort to know that God does not expect us to be superhuman, to fix it all by ourselves. But God also won't fix it for us. We are the ones who must bring God's attributes into the broken places and fill them with holiness and light. We each have a role to play, a position on a mighty team, making justice manifest, making compassion manifest, making hope manifest, making love manifest, making God manifest. That, my friends, is the name of the game. Shabbat Shalom.
Back. It's going. But it's caught by Kent. And this ball game is over.